This is my Woodstar PT85 planer thicknesser, also available under different brand names, very similar models, a few differences I dare say, but I think these models are very similar in build. I've had it for a couple of years now. I've put quite a bit of wood through it and over it. I think I know most of its good points, bad points, little foibles, etc. And so hopefully this review will be fairly accurate. On the whole, it's not a bad unit. It's got its faults, but with a bit of fettling and the right techniques, you can get some reasonable results from it. And I'm happy with how it performs for the money. In a bit more detail then, it's a pressed steel construction, bolted and welded together in parts. The weight of it's okay for shifting around the workshop, not a bit too bad for storage, but it's got enough weight in there to keep it steady while you're working it without having to have it bolted down. The top is aluminium, seems to be quite well webbed and braced underneath. The motor's rated at 1250 watts. Seems to be enough power in there to take a milli cut off something like 150mm board in one pass. Start-stop switch, got the safety cover on it, and that flips down and gives you an emergency stop button as well. That's quite handy, but if you are using it on the floor, do tend to kick it and knock the top off that. There's a safety cutout switch that interlocks with the dual purpose extractor cowl and safety guard, so you can't start it up unless that's in. A bit fiddly sometimes to get those in place. Another latch on it that side. The side casing comes off and we can see the gubbins inside. First we've got the main part of the switch, and at the side there's a thermal cutout reset, and that's just actuated from a button in the casing. Can need a bit more light on that. Yes, that's better. We've got the motor drive shaft. It comes through, drives up on a J-section belt up to a pulley at the top, which direct drives onto the cutter block. Taking off that drive as well is another J-section belt. Quite a lightweight thing that, but going on to these this large plastic pulley which drives through a gear onto this other plastic gear, which then drives a chain and goes up to a couple of sprockets there that drive the feed rollers. Not had any problems in here yet, and I'm hoping I'm not going to. Basic operation then. We've got the surfacing table, that alloy top, that you expose the amount of the blade that you need. That'll come out and will give you up to about 205mm. So expose what you need of the blade, and we can use that for surfacing. Some people use this for getting bows, twists, winding out of the boards. I've never managed it. The technique is beyond me. There's also a few failings with the machine that make it a little tricky. But anyway, use that for surfacing, and then with the fence that can be set at 90 degrees or adjusted down to 45 degrees, you can do the edges of boards. I mentioned there's a bit of a problem using the surfacing table. The problem is we've got this table split, idea being the infeed table can be lowered in relation to the blade and the outfeed table. Ideally that needs to go up and down exactly parallel. Unfortunately this doesn't. There's an adjustment at the back which feeds through on a rod and pulls the table up and down. Hopefully you can see these on these two slots this side. There's two slots at the other side at an angle, but there's nothing forcing those at either side to move up in parallel. So As you move the table, you probably might just be able to see that we're exposing more of the blade at that side than we are at that side. So this table isn't actually coming down parallel, it's got a bit of a tilt there. The only way to correct it, because there's no adjustments for this, is to give it a bang on that side. And does it stay like that? Can't really guarantee it. When you're edging, you need a good solid fence that you can adjust accurately so it's 90 degrees to the blade. This you can adjust, but the construction of it is, put that back up to it, can you see it's a bit on the flimsy side. So if you've got a big board flat against there, you're holding it flat against there to make sure that it's 90, you're actually pushing that out, and look at it at the ends, even worse. Having said that though, you can get some good results from it. Just takes a bit of fettling. First of all, you've got to get that in-feed table so it is parallel with the out-feed. Then what to do about this fence. But it has got some problems around the back. It's only fitted with originally a Allen key on there to hold it onto the side of the table, and there it's just like a bayonet fit, so it's not a sturdy mount. So you could beef that up, but what I've done, what I use, is actually a bit of an old door. Still see where the hinge is there, but what I've done is I've faced that edge off and I've faced that off. I've taken my time over it, got it good and square. Just put that on the top and a clamp at the back. There is just one more problem. It's the height that you have to set the blade to. Ideally you would want the height of that blade to be matching the height of the outfeed table. Unfortunately, if you lower the blade down to that level, when you're using the thicknesser part of the machine, the underneath part of it, the in-feed roller, which leaves marks on the timber, and the cutter doesn't take off enough to get rid of those in-feed roller marks. Last little niggle while we're looking at the top, these 4 Allen key headed screws, they're a little bit soft, and after only a couple of times that I've had the blades off, they're starting to round off a bit. So I think that's about it for surfacing and jointing on the edges. In essence, you can get it to work. It's a little bit fiddly, but it does do the job. And I think on balance, the problems with the top and the price of it, on balance, because the next part of it, the thicknesser, really does quite a good job, and that makes it all worthwhile.